Hi, we're back here. This is fly number 2 for the 4-H group. What it is this is a foam fly that I've had a lot of fun with, especially when I'm out there with bluegills and stuff like that. I've caught all kinds of fish. It's made of, you need 2mm 2mm foam. I use orange, which seems to be a lot of fun, silly leg, and some dubbing. Get the hook in the vise, and you're going to start your thread. And what you're going to do is you're going to do 3 wraps forward and then start pushing back. And wrap your thread all the way back to the bend of the hook or just above the barb. I always smash my barbs down, that way I can remove them from the fish, doing a catch and release with as little harm as possible. Once I get it back there, I can trim the thread off of there, like so. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to dub it, and usually have a sponge here, right there. That I can wet my fingers with. You know, a little sponge, wet my fingers. And you can use a little bit of dubbing wax or whatever. I just use my fingers being wet, take it over there, and get it started on the thread. Now, you use very little dubbing just to make the thread look a little dirty. You can notice how much I've actually got and how it's changing the color of the thread. You know, this is some Antron style dubbing from Rugs or something like that I've had around. I've used a lot of different things for materials. The silly legs that I'm using here on this is going to be from a bungee cord. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start winding this on the hook. And of course, you make it look a little buggy. You know, you're going to want to taper the body a little bit. So don't worry about if you have, you don't have enough on there. You just keep adding. It's easier to add the dubbing than it is to subtract it. So I figure we'll do it this way. This stuff is a little harder to use than a natural dubbing, fur dubbing, or whatever. Doesn't always spin on there properly. You can use a dubbing wax also to help it. I'm working on tapering my body right now. And usually I try to mix a little bit of each. Some, natural fur dubbing along with the other stuff that I'm using, some Antron or whatever, to help it twist on a little better, create a rope. You can always make it a dubbing loop, which I'm not going to go into right now. Let's see here, add a little more right here. And there we go. And what I'm going to do out here is I just want to put a little bit more here, just to build up this front here a little bit. And what I want to do here is I'm going to put half hitch in. Now with the orange color, the reason I said I have so much fun with it is when you see a bluegill or whatever hits the fly, it'll take it off the surface and it'll take it down, and you can watch it travel all over underneath the water. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a piece of foam, a 2mm foam, and lay it on top. I'm not going to extend over the back of the hook too far. I'm going to go over the front, a couple wraps there, and a few underneath here, and then I'm going to half hitch that. There, I'm using my fancy half hitch tool with an eyeliner pencil. what I like about it is I don't have to have a complete series of tools in it. Now I'm going to fold the foam over and I'm going to wrap it in place. A couple wraps, and then in front a couple wraps, and again half hitch it. This helps stabilize it on the hook and stuff like that, and we are almost done. Now coming to the last section of it is your silly legs, or a round thing. Inside an old bungee cord you will find things that look like rubber bands, and if you look at them close enough they will separate and become round legs. And find a lot of them, as I call them, dead on the road. And they're cheap, they're plentiful, and they're useful. Or you can go out and get regular silly legs and stuff like that, not a problem. Now I trim my silly legs down so that they're somewhat smaller than what a lot of people would do. So I just keep folding in half until I get to the size I want. Now I've got these down, and what I'm going to do is, before I put them on, I'm going to trim this here so that I'm close. Snip it right off the front there. Take one of the legs and I'm going to put it on the far side first. I'm going to start there, like so. And I'm going to try to make sure it sits between the foam, two pieces of foam there at the head, and put one on the other side. Make sure I'm coming down between them both. Again, do a couple wraps there, like so. Make sure they're somewhat straight. There we go. Same thing on this side. As I do that, then I'll go over around the eye again and put in a few more half hitches there. And we are just about done. One more step to go. It's a very simple fly. It's a lot of fun to fish. And once I've done that, I can trim it off and the thread's off. Now, what you want to do here, right above the bend, is you want to trim to a point. Don't know if it makes a difference or not, but here we go. I've tied this in many different colors, and orange so far seems to be my favorite, and the fly is done. Again, this is for my 4-H group. Welcome. Have fun tying it, and you will have all the information you need sent to you via email. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.